This is what Tom Brady took to Twitter and posted. I realize my place is still on the field, not in the stands. That time will come, but it is not now. I love my teammates. I love my supportive family. They make it all possible, but I'm coming back for my 23rd season in Tampa. Unfinished business, LFG. All right, let's bring in and say good morning, Jonathan Jones, senior NFL reporter, CBS Sports HQ. So Tom Brady announced his retirement. Now he's announcing his return. How does this affect the quarterback carousel in free agency and the draft? What are you hearing, JJ?
Yeah, it's big time because you had sort of removed Tom Brady, and okay, now Tampa is a realistic landing spot for a Deshaun Watson, because even though whatever Bruce Arians was saying at the Combine, how they may feel about a Blaine Gabbert or a Kyle Trask, did anyone really believe him? And so now that closes off one valve. Now you look at the NFC South and the New Orleans Saints, because this is not a division that's up for grabs anymore. Do they finally hit the reset button with their salary cap situation and issues, or do they continue to be in the market for Deshaun Watson? And so when you continue to look around, what the Washington Commanders have figured out their situation with Carson Wentz, but the Indianapolis Colts still have a hole there. What is very clear, Tommy, what the NFL is attempting to tell us all is we really don't like these guys who are in the quarterback draft class of 2022. And so we're going to see more movement because teams don't really want to have to select Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis right now. They'd rather find a veteran option. I think that is what the market is clearly stating around the NFL.
All right, you mentioned Deshaun Watson, obviously clearing all of those criminal accusations and things, no charges, of course. Now, he will be a man in demand. What are you hearing about the teams that are reportedly interested, teams that are in the mix?
Yeah, so the New Orleans Saints are very interested. Carolina Panthers are also interested. You have the Seattle Seahawks keeping close tabs, the Cleveland Browns, maybe not the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know the Steelers have been rumored about, but I'm not necessarily hearing them being tied to Deshaun Watson all that strongly. And so what is ultimately going to happen here? Well, he frankly has all the leverage. He gets to choose. He is going to seek permission from the Texans to speak with teams that he wants to go to. And those sort of three criteria would be a good coach, a good offensive line, and a good defense. And once he decides the teams that he wants to speak with, he then engages in talks with those teams who will be speaking to Deshaun Watson for the first time. And then he will ultimately decide where he wants to go. He will waive his no-trade clause for that team. The Texans will engage with that team in trade negotiations that will include at least 3 first-round picks and then something. And then we will see Deshaun Watson ultimately become a member of another NFL franchise. That could happen as soon as today. It could happen as late as Wednesday, but I don't see this dragging much past the official start of free agency on Wednesday afternoon.
JJ, can you remind us, is he sort of free in the clear, so to speak? Are teams having to do any extra due diligence from what we've learned over the last few days?
Yeah, you'll hear teams saying that we've done our homework. The Carolina Panthers have even hired an investigator for in the Houston area, and plenty of other teams have been poking around. Ultimately, though, they haven't spoken to Deshaun Watson. He pled the Fifth, as was his constitutional right, on advice of counsel there at the grand jury. He will be deposed in the civil cases, but still no one has heard from Deshaun Watson about these allegations other than the couple of comments he stated where he has claimed his innocence. And so what we have now is the potential for the NFL to suspend him via the personal conduct policy. Is that going to be 4 games or 6 games? Teams I've spoken with certainly expect a suspension for Deshaun Watson, even though he was not indicted on any criminal charges, because that is what they are anticipating. What could then happen? He would appeal. That could be cut down if it's 6 games to 4, if it's 4 games to 3. But everyone that I've spoken to around the league is anticipating Deshaun Watson won't be available to play for that team in week 1 of the 2022 season. All
right, so the criminal side clear. The civil side, of course, still very much in play, and we'll keep tabs on Deshaun Watson moving forward. All eyes this week, of course, the new league year, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Teams can start talking to free agents starting at noon today. And we're already hearing from NFL Network about Devante Adams saying he will not play under the franchise tag. And correct me if I'm mistaken here, we know Aaron Rodgers has agreed to a multi-year deal but has not yet signed his deal. So how does that complicate things as well?
Yeah, at some point, Aaron Rodgers should be signing the deal. I had been told that, yes, he had agreed to it. He obviously told the Pat McAfee show that But still, I believe at this exact moment, he has not yet signed the deal that we all believe is going to average around $50 million per year. And of course, the cash flow that is going to be coming in the first 2 years has still to be determined. As far as it concerns Devante Adams, he is not unlike many other franchise-tagged players, especially the great ones, who were set to cash in if they could ever hit free agency. He doesn't want to play under the franchise tag. He wants a long-term deal, something that is commensurate to, equal to, or above the DeAndre Hopkins extension, around $27.5 million per year that he got from the Arizona Cardinals. The Green Bay Packers very clearly are not wanting to do that right now. And so there is a stalemate. And Devante Adams and his camp have leaked through a report that he's not going to play under the tag. That very rarely actually happens. Guys under the tag very rarely don't wind up playing. But, you know, this is what negotiations are. They are not going to reach a resolution anytime soon. This could very well drag into the middle part of July when the deadline to sign franchise tag players hits. And so I would just say stay tuned on that.
Let's get back to quarterbacks, JJ. The Kirk Cousins deal, is that a standalone situation, or are there going to be any ripple effects, you think, in terms of free agency?
So the Vikings, I had been told, were never in on Deshaun Watson, despite some reports out there. They did essentially what they had to do. Kirk Cousins wasn't going to take a pay cut. He only had this year left on his deal, and so the only way to lower his cap number in order to keep some of the players that they wanted to keep was to extend him for a year. Does that mean that Kirk Cousins will absolutely be on the team in 2023? I don't think that it means that 100%. But what Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell, the new general manager and head coach, respectively, of the Minnesota Vikings decided was, hey, we have to get cap compliant. We have a good quarterback, an above average quarterback, and let's just go ahead and marry these two things that we have to move forward and figure out the path in years to come. So I don't think that this is going to have any huge ripple effects around the league. Kirk Cousins staying with the Minnesota Vikings was very expected.
JJ, certainly appreciate it. Want to remind everybody about our daily football podcast, the Pick Six Pod with host Will Brinson and the Super Friends. Tom Brady again. Big news announcing he's returning to the Bucs after a brief retirement from the NFL. It's an emergency pod featuring the GOAT, Brinson, Ryan Wilson, and John Breach. They're all together. Download and follow the latest edition today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.